Hello, sisters. Welcome to Monday, Motivational Monday and Mastermind. We are exploring the 4 blocks to pleasure. And today, last week we dove into fear as the number 1 block to pleasure. And we looked at the way that fear shows up in our bodies in the forms of the thoughts in our minds and how to work with that energy of fear. We did couple of really powerful exercises for neutralizing fear in the body. So if you've missed that training, you can go back in this group and watch last week's recording. And I'd love to hear what you explore in yourself and how freeing yourself and neutralizing the energy of fear is allowing you to experience more joy and pleasure in your life, opening to more joy and pleasure in your life. And today, the second block that we're going to explore is sadness. It's a powerful emotion, just like fear. And sadness is, first of all, I want to continue with a card reading. I pulled a card this morning and I felt like it was really potent for me to share with you, as it really speaks about everything that we're exploring here. And the name of the card is the Ever Unfolding Rose. And the message is cracked open. Cracked open. It's happening for you, not to you. So when we allow ourselves to crack open and feel all of these feelings like sadness and fear and shame, we are actually stepping into a courageous act of being a human being. As a human being, it takes a lot of courage to feel everything. And in order for us to feel everything and to be fully alive in this experience, we have to crack open. And when we allow the experiences of the past that were challenging and painful and devastating and traumatic to crack us open rather than to become victims of the past, that's when we truly open to the biggest opportunities and potential that we were born here into this life, into this body, into this vessel that we are. Our souls, we as souls came here to fulfill our mission. So today's emotion that as a block to pleasure is sadness. And sadness is an emotion that we can't avoid. It's a human experience, because as humans, we experience losses and heartbreaks, and we cannot avoid sadness. But what happens a lot of the times is when the heart shuts down. So this card, that's why I feel like it's so potent, that it says like a ever unfolding rose, is to open the heart. But when the heart closes, we tell that it's not okay to feel this emotion, whether it's sadness or something else. And how do we navigate sadness? Sadness, just like fear, is a natural part of the human experience, and we need to learn how to be with this experience of sadness and not shut down and be crushed by it. It can also not only challenge us, but it can also enrich our journey towards sacred pleasure. When we embrace the feeling of sadness, we actually allow ourselves to expand our ability to feel joy and pleasure. Because every single emotion comes from the same place. It comes from source, and in our bodies, there's a certain sensation. When we feel a sensation, and a lot of times if it's sadness, it might feel like a hurt or pain in the chest. And I'll tell you personally, I was very familiar with the feeling of sadness. Growing up, I feel like all I had was sadness. I didn't feel joy very much. And I remember in my 30s, early 30s, when I first started meditating, I went for a 10-day Vipassana course of cold turkey. I've never had any meditation experience before, and I just landed for 10 days of silence. And I was very confronted because there was a lot of pain in my chest. And I thought that I couldn't meditate because there was so much pain and distraction to meditation. And in reality, that was my meditation, is to focus on that feeling in my chest, which was very, very, very uncomfortable. It was like squeezing pain. But that feeling was out of decades of shutting down that feeling and thinking that there's something wrong with me, or something wrong that I experience a loss. And for me, the loss of self-esteem. It can be a loss of a parent, or feeling connection to the mother or father. And for me, what I got to understand later was a loss of self-esteem, a loss of myself, loss of connection to who I am. And it is through that feeling, commitment to feeling and cracking open, just like the rose, cracking open the heart, that little by little, I started to feel more pleasure and more joy and more connection to myself, to the younger parts of me that were really longing for my attention, very tender and really shy and scared and didn't know how to express themselves, those little parts of me. So the block of sadness can manifest in all different ways. It can manifest as a heavy cloud that lingers. Like it can feel like all over the body, there's a feeling of heaviness that lingers over and over, making you feel depressed, that it makes you feel very difficult to embrace joy and pleasure. It can stem from all kinds of losses or past wounds or unexpressed emotions. Whenever the emotion or your feelings were not fully expressed, or you didn't feel safe to express your feelings, it becomes like a block that stays down. So I shared a little bit with my own journey of sadness, how a lot of times it showed up most intensely during holidays, when everybody is going for, in Russia, everybody would celebrate New Year, like the biggest holiday. And I would just stay home. I didn't want to go because I didn't feel like I could feel joy. And that's why I would hide and just stay behind and just cry. And sometimes I couldn't even cry. A lot of the times I would just be numb. So that's how it would show up. The sadness that was deeply buried inside was just numb, and I would feel depression, but without ability to feel anything. The key to navigating through this block of sadness is approaching it with compassion and understanding. That's really the key, is to feel compassion for yourself. And first of all, start to get curious about what you're really feeling in the body. And even before compassion, I would say the first thing is to ground into the body, because without being fully connected to the body, it's very hard to feel anything. And I knew this so well because I was just floating around in space and didn't feel like I had a body even. And over time, with practice over and over again, I started to learn how to ground into my body, and then to start to explore my feelings and connect. Where is the feeling? Where do I feel? Where is sadness? Actually, earlier this morning, I experienced a lot of sadness in my throat. I walked with my dog in the neighborhood off the leash, and somebody just unleashed with anger at me and started just like ran after me and started yelling. And that brought a lot of feeling of sadness and remembering of in school in the Soviet Union, where teachers used to yell at me. And that was just a feeling like, well, there's something wrong. And I just started feeling, and then I let myself cry. I just walked home after that and just let tears flow through me this morning. And after that, the joy came back. as I allowed that kind of like let the tears and let the feeling come through me. And some of you might feel like it's hard for you to even let the tears come. So that's why the next key in embracing and being with this block of sadness is to bring compassion to yourself and bring understanding that there are things that happened that led to you shutting it down. And it's not something to be fixed or for you to get rid of, rather than to embrace and connect to the younger part of you that is feeling sad. That's why the next step in healing or an opening through sadness, really moving into sadness and letting that be the doorway into joy and pleasure, is to connecting with the inner child, the child within you that didn't feel like she had the space to express her feelings, express her emotions, express what she really truly thought and felt, and have that space where all feelings are accepted and valued. There is not a single feeling that is wrong. All feelings are a navigation. It's an opportunity to explore what is here to feel. And when we embrace sadness and all other emotions and feelings, then we step out of blaming the world or blaming people or our past or circumstances of our past for our condition or our misfortunes. And we really connect to the feeling. It's like unplugging from the victimization and making something or someone wrong for the way that we are feeling. And when we stop making someone wrong for the way that we're feeling, it's actually freedom. That's when the freedom of pleasure and the freedom of joy comes, and opportunity to fully be the fullest expression of that you came here to be. So here are some of the steps. I already started naming them. The first step is to ground into your body. So you can even jot it down, to ground into your body. The second step is to embrace your feelings with compassion, especially sadness. Embrace yourself with compassion and understanding. And really honor those feelings. When you honor your feelings, you're being compassionate with yourself. And then find space for you to express it. Express your feelings, whether it's through crying or with someone, a safe person, a friend or a mentor or healer or community where you can express yourself. This is a big part of our Confident Healer community, where we create space for us to embrace all emotions and honor all feelings and have that space to express them. And the next step is to prioritize your self-care. Put it at the top of your list. Prioritizing what feels pleasurable to you. What is the self-care practices that nurture you, that soothe your emotional well-being, such as walk in nature or swimming or taking a soothing bath or writing or listening to music or yoga, or just being with yourself, hugging yourself and writing yourself a letter of how much you matter and how important your feelings are. And then I already mentioned that the next step I would recommend seeking support, seeking spaces and people who can really help you, who can be their professional or friendships, who not staying alone with your feelings. A lot of times when we were young, we made ourselves wrong for feeling what we feel, and we isolated. So to come out of that isolation and feeling like there's something wrong with you or with the way that you're feeling, is to find supportive, safe people who can get it, who can get you and understand you. And the last step is to cultivate gratitude, balancing sadness by intentionally focusing on moments of joy and pleasure in your life. Savoring, taking a moment to really savor what is joyful. In the midst, because we have the full spectrum at all times, you can have access to sadness and to joy and pleasure at the very same time. So taking moments to savor what is pleasurable now, what is joyful now in this moment, feeling throughout your day, feeling the day, rather than going through the motions and getting caught in just mechanical actions. Pausing and feeling the day. And it takes grounding again into your body, grounding into your body. Just a simple act of feeling air on your skin can be so pleasurable. Or stroking your face, or giving yourself a massage. Or taking a moment to write in a way that is very mindful and slow, that you can really enjoy your pen writing. I have a whole colorful set of pens that I use in my morning journaling. And I'll share some of the journaling prompts that I find to be extremely helpful in just a moment. So finding, maybe it's colors, maybe it's scribbling or drawing, or finding something that just feels pleasurable in the midst of feeling sadness, not negating sadness, but balancing it and finding that there's always a whole spectrum. It's not just one emotion, but you can access and cultivate more joy and pleasure at the same time. So now I want to share four major desires. And it goes really well with kind of cultivation of pleasure and joy in your life. There are four major desires that we all humans have. After we satisfy our need for shelter and food, there are four desires that I find to be kind of like the core desires that drive us, that motivate us, that move us forward, that make us want something. So those four desires, the first one is desire for aliveness. You feeling alive, feeling vibrant, feeling like there is a zest and juice moving through your body and through your life, that you're moving through your day with a feeling of, I got this. There's a feeling of motivation that comes with aliveness. There's a sense of presence that comes with aliveness. You can also have other words for it. Maybe it's health or vitality. So that's one of the core desires. The second core desire is connection. Connection to, I shared with you why I felt so sad and devastated for majority of my childhood all the way into adulthood, is because I was disconnected from myself, disconnected from source, a bigger sense of me, and disconnected from even my peers. And I didn't have friends when I was growing up. I didn't have close connections, close relationships. So a sense of connection is relationship with yourself, having intimacy, and a sense of there's connection. So looking at in your own life, where do you have that desire to have more connection? Connection with yourself, connection with friends or community, and cultivate that. It takes cultivation. So just maybe in your writing journal, write down what can you do to cultivate more connection? Who can you reach out to and express your gratitudes to, or offer your love to, or offer your compliments or support, being there to support somebody else's dream, and that creates a sense of connection. And the third desire that we all humans have is a meaningful pursuit. I have a sense of meaningful pursuit, something that we're working towards that feels meaningful. It has a big sense of why, the big why we want something, whether it's expressing our purpose or our mission, it's in the bigger sense. Something that drives us forward, meaningful pursuit. So just contemplate for yourself, what is that meaningful pursuit for me? What is that bigger sense of something that drives me forward, that motivates me to get out of bed, that gives me a sense of I'm moving towards? That's so important. It's for all humans, that sense of moving forward, pursuing, not chasing. It's very different than chasing, like chasing a carrot or not being present. But when there's a meaningful pursuit, we're fully engaged and fully present, and we know that we're being guided towards something greater. And there's like a sense of passion that moves us forward. So again, I'll repeat this first three. The first one is a sense of aliveness. The second is connection. The third one is a meaningful pursuit. And the fourth one is a sense of growth. Growth and knowing that you are becoming and activating your full potential. It's not about perfection or being already there or feeling like I'm at the top of the game and I'm already there on top of the mountain, I reached it, but a sense that you are growing. We all humans have that desire, a feeling of growth. And with that, I just want to say that we can look that there is a fixed mindset and there's a growth mindset. The fixed mindset says that I am just the way that I am and nothing will ever change. But the growth mindset doesn't look at the flaws or challenges as a roadblock or a dead end. It looks at challenges and struggles as opportunities to grow and move through them and become a bigger and greater expression of love and source through the challenges. So I want to take a look at the Facebook, see if anybody is commenting. And those of you who are live on Facebook, I would love you to share out of these, what I've shared so far, what resonates with you the most? Okay. I see some women watching. So I know that one of you is here live. If you would like to share, you're welcome to. Absolutely, there's no need if you don't feel like it, but if you would like to share, you're welcome to. You can unmute yourself and share or put it in the chat box. And I won't say your name, but I will share what is moving through you and what is inspiring in you. So some of them. So just, I would love to hear out of these four, those of you who are watching on the replay or live, which of these four desires do you feel that you want to prioritize and are most important to you? it's important to know where you want to put your life force energy. Is it in committing to greater aliveness, feeling more vibrant and like there's more energy running through you? There's more chi or prana that is moving through you? Or is it prioritizing making effort in deepening connections, prioritizing certain relationships, or maybe forming new relationships that you are desiring to form? We become the average of 5 people that we surround ourselves with. So really, maybe that is assessing who are the 5 people you spend most time with. I see that. Deepening and cultivating connections. Beautiful. Yeah, and then I would ask you to share or write in your journal, what are the 3 steps or 3 actions that you can take to deepen and cultivate more connections, more meaningful, more fulfilling connections? Just think about it. Maybe it's and who are those people who you want to cultivate those connections with? Is that children or your neighbors, or is it community members or family members? Maybe some people you felt disconnected from for a while, and just to know that there's something there that's nudging you to create more connection. So this framework, I want to give acknowledgement for Brendon Burchard, who formed this framework with the 4 desires. And I find him to be brilliant in the way that he really researches for decades. He has researched for decades what really drives us, what motivates us, and what's at the core of our human experience. So I'd love to hear any of you who are live or on the replays to share about which of the 4 core desires you are making sure that you're prioritizing this week. This week, we're just starting the new week on Monday. And what feels most important to you? I see somebody join. So welcome, sisters. We are ending this call now live, but please come back and watch the replay and comment below first of all, what I shared about sadness and the steps on embracing sadness and moving through this block and embracing greater pleasures and joys of your life. What resonates with you, and what can you really apply in your life to allow yourself to crack open your heart more, to feel a wider spectrum of feelings? Because most people that I know and ever been in contact with tend to shut down and push down the feelings and emotions, including sadness. And my invitation to you is to begin to find the safety within yourself and an environment that you are cultivating around you to welcome a wider range of feelings, allowing more sensations in your body to be felt. Just like I shared with you when I started meditating in my 30s, I felt a huge block in my chest, and I couldn't even cry at that time. I didn't know how to cry. And I just felt this heavy, pinching, squeezing sensation in my chest, which felt like a huge distraction to meditation and to my life. But in fact, it turned out into being a biggest blessing, into crack opening my heart, because I welcomed all of those feelings and allowed myself to dive deeper and feel that wounding that happened earlier, and allow the feelings to be felt in a deeper way, and cry and find deeper connections, because it's very related. When our hearts are closed to our own feelings of sadness, it's very hard to find meaningful connections and feel closeness and pleasure with another human. And within ourselves, it's hard to find pleasure in our own being, in our own bodies, when we are blocking certain feelings, including fear, like we explored last time, and sadness. Come out of isolation, connect with kindred spirits. I feel I need to strengthen healthy connection boundaries before reaching out to family members and others who push my buttons. Yes, really powerful exploration, recognizing that you need to find first safety, boundaries first, before you feel you can be vulnerable with certain members of the family. Such a powerful insight you have, that boundaries need to be placed in first, that are healthy boundaries, because we can have rigid boundaries that's like a wall, and it creates separation between our heart and the heart of others. But healthy boundaries is the place where we welcome. We create like penetrable. It's not a wall, but it's a boundary that only welcomes unconditional love, and you send unconditional love to others. That's when we take full responsibility and don't blame others for how you feel, but you embrace your feelings. And with a safe boundary, healthy boundaries, you can feel your own heart, and you can be empathic with another person who also has strong, powerful feelings, just like you. All right, sisters, I'm going to end this live, and I will be back next week with the third block, to pleasure. I embrace all of your feelings and encourage you and invite you to feel deeper into what's there for you to feel, and allow your heart crack open like the rose, ever expanding rose, ever unfolding rose. Cracked open, it's happening for you and not to you. There is nothing in the outside world that can keep your heart closed. It's your job to crack open your heart and embrace your own feelings, and know that you have the safety to embrace and feel all the feelings, including sadness. All right, sisters, have a beautiful week, and we'll be together again next week, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern, same place in the Trust Your Healing Gifts community. Much love to you.